What do timeshares and relationships have in common? Well, hopefully, if you're in a healthy relationship, not much. But unfortunately, there are some relationships that can learn quite a bit from what I call the timeshare principle. The idea behind a timeshare is that they're going to invite you to their beautiful property where you are going to enjoy the beauty of the grounds, the swimming pools, the fun activities, the snacks by the swimming pool. Everything's going to be incredibly wonderful. They're going to offer to load you up on little vans and take you to the best sites in the area. There's going to be camaraderie with other guests. It's going to just be awesome. And then when you sit down for their little presentation, why not? Why wouldn't you want that in your life? It's the perfect little getaway, all tucked into this beautiful, wonderful place. And the likelihood that you are going to be willing to invest and commit financially to their property is pretty high. They know that. They've just made your entire weekend the most amazing ever. It's a marketing strategy that works well, and a lot of people make that commitment. It's not until a few months later when they're trying to sort through their finances and figure out how to make that payment, or even a few years later when they've made the payments but never been able to get back there or haven't been able to fully utilize their time there, that the frustration sets in. The mundane, regular life stuff. All of a sudden, that wonderful weekend begins to have maybe a little resentful feelings stirring inside regarding it. Well, relationships can fall into a similar pattern. Two types of relationships. Multiple, but the two that stand out to me are people who are dating long distance. In other words, they're meeting through online sources. And so when they get together, it's a power-packed 2 or 3 days full of fun. What's not to like about that? You can pretty much, if you're doing wonderful recreational activities, you can pretty much be doing them with your enemy, and it's going to be pretty wonderful. So that's one scenario that can kind of fit into the timeshare mentality of relationships. And the other one, it would be for people who start to brew other relationships even when they're already in a committed relationship. So they don't get the full picture of this person, but they do get to enjoy them for the fun times when the pressures of life and the responsibility of bills aren't overwhelming on them. So those are two scenarios that come to mind. We have to be very careful with the timeshare principle. It's wonderful to have a great time with other people, but are you going to do well with them when it's the mundane, life-to-life kind of decisions, day-to-day, ins and outs, paying bills? Are you only able to have fun with them when it's high-intense, structured recreation, or is it an individual you could just enjoy reading a book on the couch next to without all of that pressure? There's so many other pieces to know about an individual, and only knowing them in the timeshare mentality just isn't a big enough picture. Families are completely destroyed from affairs where the affairs were built on the timeshare principle. And of course, that was wonderful. Of course, being away from your house and your children and your responsibilities is a great time. But when it all comes down to committing to this new individual and bringing them into this regular life, how's that going to work for you? So it's something to keep in mind if you're doing these long distance types of ways to meet people, or if you're already in a committed relationship but you find yourself pulled towards someone else because it's always about the fun, good times. It's not a really true picture of what a long-term relationship is going to look like with that individual. Something to think about.